When it comes to Drake and the group of people he surrounded himself with, their entire strategy after the Kendrick Lamar beef seemed to revolve around one idea. The truth will eventually come to light, and when it does, the public will realize they were wrong. Well, now that we're seeing more of what's happening behind the scenes, it's clear that some of what Kendrick said about Drake might be more accurate than any of us ever imagined. With the DMs that have surfaced between Drake and people on his side, it's impossible to ignore just how weird and off-putting some of his conversations were. Honestly, this could spell the end for Drake, and it might have consequences bigger than anything we've seen before. Before we dive deeper into all this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Now, as for Drake, it's safe to say this new week has brought him one of the worst possible outcomes. What's coming to light now shows that Drake has carefully constructed his image and his team based on lies and manipulation. Even more disturbing is the way he's been talking to people who have always had his back, people he thought would never turn on him. It's becoming clearer that behind closed doors, Drake is a lot stranger than any of us could have imagined. When we take a closer look at Kendrick Lamar's track, Not Like Us, it seems Kendrick may have been spot on about everything, even the things that people once thought he was exaggerating. With the recent revelations, Drake's reputation has taken a massive hit. The leaked messages between him and a key member of DJ Academic's team, whose name is so offensive I can barely mention it, really put things into perspective about the kind of people Drake associates with. We've now seen firsthand how Drake has been in constant communication with the head of Academic's team, sharing messages that seem designed to tear down Kendrick Lamar and spread some truly damaging rumors. The most revealing part of all this, Drake openly admitted to lying about some of the key moments in his feud with Kendrick. For example, when he claimed he set Kendrick up in the infamous Heart Part 6, we already knew that wasn't true. But hearing Drake admit he had no clue what he was even talking about makes the whole situation even more absurd. For those who still think Drake came out on top in this whole back and forth, it's pretty hilarious and telling to now see him admit that the entire premise of the Heart Part 6 was nothing but lies and damage control, all aimed at saving his image and reputation. It's clear as day that he lost this battle in record time. On top of that, Drake has tried to spin other claims, saying Kendrick used big names and influential figures in rap to help his cause. But when you look at what Drake is doing behind the scenes, it's clear that he's the biggest hypocrite of all. He's literally doing the same things he accuses Kendrick of, and the proof is all in these messages. It's almost laughable how Drake, who his fans consider a creative genius ahead of the curve, is now showing that he's just copying narratives from online conversations and hoping he gets credit for it. And the more we see of Drake's behavior, like making shady deals behind the scenes to control what people can say about him, it's evident that he's playing by a completely different set of rules. Not only is he trying to tear down Kendrick's success, but is also doing things that go beyond just being wrong. He's trying to accuse Kendrick of tactics that Drake himself is using. All of this just highlights how fragile and desperate Drake really is when it comes to preserving his image and his career. What's even worse than the beef itself is what these messages reveal about Drake's behind-the-scenes actions. There was one interaction between Drake and a key person on his team that didn't just give us a deeper look at Drake's character. It could end up making him look worse than he ever has before. This message exchange sheds light on a conversation that happened around the time of the release of Her Loss. And while the details are still up for debate, it's clear that this will only add to Drake's downfall. Back when Her Loss dropped, Drake was caught in a weird conversation with this same person where strange claims were made. It's not entirely clear what he was talking about, but there's talk that this message is referring to an interview Drake did to show how good of a person he is. But when you break it down, that doesn't make sense. There's nothing to back up that claim. These messages were from the same night Her Loss was released, and while it seems like Drake might have been describing some kind of celebration or event tied to the album, it raises even more questions. In this exchange, Drake talks about a situation involving two people who, based on the way he describes them, really shouldn't have been in the same place together. No matter how anyone tries to spin this, it's clear what's being implied. And even with Drake's vague mention of my man, people are left wondering, is he talking about a friend relationship, or is he referring to someone else's situation? Either way, it's a mess that only adds fuel to the fire. When Drake responds to a situation in such a dismissive way, Using just LOL, it's incredibly off-putting, especially given that everything has built up until now, especially surrounding his image and character, has been tied to Not Like Us and his presence in the industry. This exchange already does a lot to expose Drake for what he is, particularly with the way pages he communicate with are trying to manipulate the narrative. Simply put, Drake has never looked wise. The casual way he ends a conversation about something troubling with LOL speaks volumes, especially considering the importance of this moment. This marks a time when his label is reviewing his past and character, and it's revealing everything they need to know about his behavior before Not Like Us was even released. Remember, this is years before he and Kendrick went at each other with diss tracks, and this message could be the undoing of everything Drake has tried to build up. This kind of comment is more than just a careless remark. It gives us everything we need to see a pattern in Drake's behavior. By laughing off something that should have been taken seriously, it tells us that situations like this are common for him and his team, but they don't view them with the gravity they deserve. This could cause serious damage to Drake's career because now his label can use this as leverage, saying that Not Like Us didn't even touch on anything that wasn't already public knowledge. They can argue that his behavior was already well documented and that his reputation isn't affected by Kendrick's diss track, which just amplifies the negative image they've been pushing. It's clear that Drake doesn't take these situations seriously, especially when he finishes off his thoughts with LOL. And if he's acting this way with someone on his team, who knows how he treats others who are more invested in his success? This is exactly why Drake should have just taken his L from Kendrick and moved on. But now, by making this beef bigger and challenging his own label, he's given them the opportunity to expose his behavior even more. His label can now use incidents like this to paint him in a much more negative light and prove that this behavior has always been part of his character. It's getting to the point where they could very well end his career in a way that only a few have experienced in the industry. With proof of how Drake responds to these situations now, combined with the questionable stories that have been circulating about him, his label is building a picture of who he really is. It's becoming more and more clear that Drake doesn't think or see things the way most people do. With each new piece of evidence, he's inching closer to losing everything. Not only has his strange behavior behind the scenes been exposed, but the petty messages he's exchanged about Not Like Us and Kendrick's success also show how far he's willing to go to tarnish Kendrick's image and improve his own. These conversations, where Drake and the head of Axe platform are plotting how to create false narratives to benefit Drake and harm Kendrick, only add fuel to the fire. All things considered, Kendrick Lamar's diss tracks just keep getting stronger. Now, with Drake spiraling in a way we've never seen before, there's undeniable proof confirming everything we've been saying about what's been happening behind the scenes. These messages, coming from someone with basic connections to Drake's circle, leave us wondering how much worse things could get if this is how Drake is acting. While we don't have the full picture just yet, and given how strange and off-putting Drake seems in these conversations, this could be a huge red flag. One thing is clear, though, Drake's career has never looked more finished. This isn't just about his music anymore. It's about how artists express themselves and how the industry responds to someone trying to destroy it when they are no longer part of the in crowd. If even more moments like this continue to surface, it's clear that damaging narratives will only continue to build around Drake, making things even worse for him. These revelations will only fuel Not Like Us even more, reinforcing Kendrick's claims that OVO has some very questionable things going on. Drake may have thought he was holding on to his team by keeping some of the most desperate players in hip-hop around, but by having these weird, shady conversations, all he's done is make Kendrick's words ring true. The song that Drake probably thought would be his redemption has only ended up proving everything wrong, and it's becoming more and more accurate with each passing moment. So, what do you think about all these messages from Drake? Is this the beginning of him truly being exposed? What do you think is coming next? I can't wait to hear your thoughts on all of this. And if you've made it this far in the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out. Also, if you're curious to see another rapper's career take one of the worst falls ever, right alongside everything going down with Drake, be sure to check out the suggested video.